In Bechokasai telechu. Second pasuk says, "V'natatim gashmechem bi'itam." So Rashi says, "Shasha in derech b'nei Adam." It says, "Kagon b'leilo Shabbosos," so that people don't go out on Friday nights. Therefore, it rains on the Friday night when everyone's inside. So for today, everyone just goes outside, and they're going to their friend's house on Friday night. They're going to a nice meal and they're walking home. So why is it dafka raining on Friday night? So in Bechokasai telechu, Rashi says that's a mela Torah, that it's not, that's kima mitzvahs, because it already said kima mitzvahs. So what do you say in Bechokasai telechu? Because you're amal b'Torah, and therefore if you're in the state of being amal b'Torah, therefore on Friday nights you're inside. So the pasuk continues, v'nasna aretz yubolah, that the schar, the posh pshat in the pasuk is that you get schar for the menas b'Torah, and that's that there's in the physicalities, that there's a coming in the physicalities. That's the schar for your amal b'Torah. The Torah's kochanim, which is a midrasham vayikra. They say also yom, the same day. As soon as you plant it, then the fruits will come out. You'll get its produce. The land will give its produce in the same day. You plant and then you get it. The Rambam says in the future, everyone will be a chachamim. The whole of Israel will be a chachamim. And all the nice things in life, all the Gashmius in life, all the things in which you want, will be like the offer. It'll be like the dust of the land. So it'll be plentiful. So what exactly is the kesher here? What's the connection between this Gashmius and all this food that's coming? And that this is schar. Why? What's the shaykhness of schar to the Torah? What's the Torah telling you? You're getting schar. Posh Pshat and the pasuk here is saying that if you learn Torah, so therefore you'll get stuff. Now the Rambam in Teshuvah, the 9th parak, discusses the schar that you get for doing the mitzvahs, and the 10th parak says, well, don't do it for schar, do it for love, do it for emes because it's emes, and doing it for schar is only for the children, the women, and Amoratzim. So there's a techila, the beginning of the avodah starts off with getting schar. And then, so the shalolishma balishma, so that you reach the level of lishma later. So it could be that the psukim here are telling you, oh, the wonderful Gashmius, because there's a chelik of the Jewish people who are not going to be learning shalolishma, and there's a chelik of the Jewish people who will be learning because they want their schar. So therefore, the Torah is talking to them. So is the Roiv of Yisrael L'Chayra. They're serving Al Menasek Abel Pras. So if that's the Roiv, so therefore the Torah is speaking to them. So even in the future times, Lasid Lavo, in the time of Mashiach, not everybody is going to be serving Lishma. Not everyone's going to be wanting God. They're also going to be wanting the Gashmius or the pleasure in that. So that's Al Pi the Roiv, but what about the Chelek of the Jews that are serving Lishma, that don't want this reward? Is the Torah talking to them? How are they being left out? But a bigger question is that the Gashmius in this pasuk, l'chayr, is coming as a reward, not necessarily just of keeping the Torah and the mitzvahs, but of being a melim b'Torah, as Rashi explains it, that this Torah is the level of a melis b'Torah. So therefore, why dafka, if you're on this level of that, you've kind of divorced yourself from the desires of getting things and of cakes, and not even to the level of a higher pleasure of I want God, but to the level of bittle your whole life in Torah, that you want God so much that it's God which you want. So therefore, what exactly is the point? What is the shaykhness of this Gashmius as a schar bechlal? So Chazal understand in Bechokasai telechu, there's a drasha in Kedushin, and this chukah shechakti lahem, so that the chukasai is also on the word of chakak. A chakak is to engrave. If you take the stone and then you cut out some of the stone in order to make a letter, so that's engraving in the stone. So this is the way that the tablets were made. The first tablets that you would bore all the way through the stone, that you could see all the way through. And the second tablets, they're etched into it. You carve into it, but you can't see. If you look at the stone, you can see the stone. You can't see all the way through, like the first tablet. So it would be like in a tombstone. Then you etch out the letters, and then you can read it in the stone. There's this level of chakak, of chakika, that's in the melus. And what exactly is this chakika? Because it's different to writing. Because when you're writing, so therefore you have ink on paper. They're two separate things. But when you have a chakak, so therefore the whole metzias, the whole existence of the letters is only based on the stone. If you take away the stone, so therefore there's no letters anymore. But the ink is a separate thing to the paper. So therefore, the whole metzius of the letters, if the letters of the Torah goes into the goof of the person, so therefore that person becomes the Torah, that the Torah only has a metzius based on the stone. So therefore, the person is the metzius of the Torah. So this person here, that his whole existence is the Torah. So therefore, how can you say that is the schar he gets? Is that the fruits? You plant fruits and it comes. Why is that his schar? It's not what he's looking for. That's not what he's interested in. In Parshas Nitzavim, it says, "Hu chayecha." The Torah is your life. So the Torah is the kol hachaim. Every facet of life is the metzius of the Torah is in every facet of life. So with a man, you'll have koiches that are in Giloi and they're in Nister. They're in hiddenness and they're in revelation. So by the man, when he's in, for example, if he's happy, you don't necessarily know. He can be happy in hiddenness. He can be happy in Helem, but hasn't come to Giloi revelation yet. But if he's dancing or he's smiling, so therefore you'd be nicker the happiness, the completeness, the shleimus of his emotion will only come out once you see his emotion as well as the emotion being experienced in the Helem. So the shleimus is only once you actually it comes all the way out into Begiloi. All the Gashmius in the world is the shorish and is coming from the Torah. However, we don't necessarily see the connection between the learning of Torah or the Jews and their effect on the Gashmius. So the Torah has an effect in Helem. It has an effect on the person who learns the Torah. So therefore, the effect of the Torah can be seen in that person. But this is not full schar until the effect of the Torah, it goes all the way out into the Giloi as well. So we live in a time of where there's the curse on Adam and Rishon, and therefore there's a tircha of the avodas haaretz is the klala, and in the future, therefore, then the aretz will be megala the Torah, because it will megala the koiches of the shayresh of himself, because the shleimus of the Torah comes out in a place where you also see the shleimus of the Torah in the Gashmius as well. Because right now the aretz is not the kli for the shefa of Hashem coming from the Torah, because even if you are Amal B'Torah, therefore the Aretz doesn't reflect this. In the future, so therefore then the Aretz will be Megala its Shayresh. And therefore, when you learn Torah and that the Gashmius is also reflecting this, and the bountifulness that is reflected in the Gashmius is coming that the Shayresh of the Torah has reached its Giloi. It's in revealed as well, and therefore that's the Shleimus of the Torah, where the Metzias of the matter is in revelation. And then this can only become when it's a level of chakak, of where the stone and the etching is one, not when you have it as a ink on the paper, because there you have two separate things. You have the Gashmius and the Ruchnis and the separate, and therefore the paper doesn't reflect the ink. But here the rock and the etchings are the same. That's where the letters are Erna letters without the rock, and therefore that's oneness. That Metzias is itself. There is nothing else, and therefore the Gashmius, there can't be any blockages in the Gashmius, and therefore the Gashmius will have to reflect the Torah because of the Amelus.